best right into it, I suppose, down this way.
Yeah, it was.
Been ice on there this morning, quite frost.
The traditional way of catching salmon on the River Severn has continued for many generations. Today, only 2 men keep the custom alive. Their year begins in February, on cold, frosty mornings, long before any salmon swim up the River Severn from the sea. Cutting hazel stoles is a fundamental task of the early season. Winter storms damage sections of their fishery, and Derek and Don use the flexible stems for major repairs.
When we took this fishing over, we realised we had to find a sort of hedging, and there's no nut growing in the vale. And the nut is the only wood that is suitable for hedging on account of its length, with the age that it takes to grow.
Yeah, Gloucester Wildlife Trust have taken the wood over now, and of course it's necessary to select a piece of woodland for coppice in where there's a lot of good hazel stoles on there for this material, and we found that very useful.
So we found a supply on the Duke of Beaufort's estate at Lower Woods at Hawkesbury, Ingliston Common. So we buy a half acre over there each year.
Chainsaws were brought in, I suppose 15 years
About
we've been
15
using.
years, yeah.
We've been going over there for a long time, about 15 years I should think was when we could...
Oh, it made it so much easier and quicker because you cut off 2 or 3 sticks at a time.
Yeah.
And the regrowth on the stoles was better after because you had no splits in the stole where you cut off of.
Clean cut.
It was a clean cut and a new shoot came up off the side, and
yeah.
You had regrowth which was better than some of that cut by axes, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, yes.
Yeah,
it didn't let the wet in so much, I don't think.
No. We get on average about 60 bundles, isn't it?
Yeah, it works out about 60 bundles of hedging, which is...
Every year.
Of course, we got, on this fishery here, we've got 300 yards of hedging, which is essential to put it in, because otherwise the fishery, at the bottom part of the fishery, wouldn't catch at all.
Hedging is a style of fencing made by weaving pliable willow stems or stoles around upright wooden stakes. The completed hedge forms a barrier which guides the salmon down towards large conical baskets known as putchers, where they are eventually trapped. Derek and Don are the sole remaining fishermen who know how to make these traditional baskets, which have to be checked twice a day for fish.
There we go.
To make the baskets or putchers, willow has to be harvested during March, just before the salmon season begins on the 16th of April.
No, we're not using the chainsaw. We're going back to the traditional method of shrouding a withy tree. Actually, I'm sorting it out so as I've got the working material, that is the weaving stuff, in one bundle, and the staving and meters, that's the upright parts, in another bundle. And I'm just trimming some of it off so that we don't take a lot of surplus material home. All the shoots on the head of that tree have grown in 2 years, which is a terrific growth. It's certainly done very well. Yeah, here's the hunt.
You come right to us too.
Weren't really expecting them here today, Don, were you?
No, we didn't think they'd be here this side. However, the kennels, and they usually go north.
Kennel meat, they usually go north today,
Yeah, they
but...
come down straight down through Byberg House Farm.
Yeah.
Drove black cover.
Black cover, yeah.
Had a fox away from there, and he's heading straight to Longman's Grove.
Towards the river bank now, isn't he?
Yeah, Longpools.
Longpools, yeah. Well, I suppose these trees have been probably stood here for 80, 100 years.
Oh, they're, yes, quite that.
And
probably put their fencing stakes here.
fencing stakes, and then they've been
rooted.
let grow on up a bit, and
But they were all
tops cut out of them, and
these were
they
parted
branched
2 years
out
ago,
and gone on from there. And
it was big withy on them then, big as my leg.
yeah,
Cut off with a chainsaw, and this is resulting growth on 2 years. But it is exceptional growth for 2 years.
And no doubt these have been cut many times for the same purposes we're using them for today.
Well, years ago, the
For the
withy was
fishery?
used for everything, really, because they used it on the farms a lot for making feeding cribs for cattle
That's
left
right.
out in the fields in the winter months
Yeah.
to feed on.
Yeah,
They used
Making-
to make a round one then,
making spicks for the
and it
thatching,
was used for spicks, spars for thatching and all that sort of thing.
spars, and we must have cut hundreds of trees round different places all in the
Oh, yeah.
30-odd years we've been fishing now. Wouldn't be wanted today with all how the plastic strings come in. We can tie the putchers in with that.
Well, the ties and rods and
Ties
pins
and-
are not used like they used to be.
No, no,
It's a changing pattern in the fishing.
absolutely. Change. Like everything else, it's changing. As soon as we stop cutting them, I suppose nobody else will take it on, and that'll be the end of another industry.
The withes are bundled, securely tied and left to dry for 2 to 3 weeks before the putchers are made from the still, flexible branches.
That's that one.
Well, this is reducing the short staves to make the meters, which are the half-length ones in the putcher, to get the shape of your putcher to spread out on the top.
And that tool you've got there, splitter,
That's a splitter.
that will split them
You just put
3
that-
ways.
Just guide it down through, and you finish up with 3 equal. We need 9 of these, and we then stand them in the bench. The little pot in the bottom is just to keep the nose stavings up together, to keep them more in line for when you come to nose them up, they're not so spread all over the place. And there's one stave here that's split so far down, so we usually start on that one to do the bench ring, and we start on the same one to nose it up, which is the stage what Derek's on there. You work these round, keeping the stave to the left-hand side of the hole in the bench, because you've got to get a meter alongside, which is a half-length one. That's what gives you your increase in size in your basket. Otherwise, you would stay the same size all the way up. From the time I left school, I used to go down to Salmon Lodge, where the old repair station is now, with the late Mr. Victor now. I learned a lot off of him. He was an excellent basket maker.
Nobody else is making the wooden ones anymore.
There's nobody else making wooden ones now, and
Times
I
have
don't
cha-
know if there's any 100% with the ones over the river.
No.
They're nearly
they're
all
all
got
metal.
onto the modern steel, and quite a bit of stainless steel now. Right, that's the bench ring. Now we'll put the meters in round to match that.
I started in the first season in 1965, actually. It was not with putchers, but with kipes, which are large baskets, some 6 feet across at the entrance and in 3 sections, and they'll catch anything from a shrimp to a sturgeon. We put in 12 of these. Thought we were going to get a lot of salmon, and couldn't believe it, really. We only caught 1 salmon for the whole season. And we used to catch a nice lot of shrimps and come back in the night and have to cook them, which entailed an awful lot of work. Cook the shrimps while they're still alive and sell them. No problem to sell them. After 1965, the following season, we were lucky enough to get hold of be able to fish some putchers. We used to fish rather a difficult area. We used to catch an awful lot of seaweed and sand. It was we could really only fish it for every fortnight. It was when the tide reached about 30 feet at Bristol, that would start filling up with sand, and then it was out for a week. Really, you couldn't keep it clean. As soon as you cleaned it out on the one tide, and the next tide came back in again, it was all filled up with seaweed and sand again and rubbish, and so consequently it wasn't the best of fisheries. And then we had the opportunity to move into another bigger fishery, which we have now fished since 1973 up to present day. 300 putchers, 300 yards of hedge or leader, which diverts the fish into the putchers, and also on the fishery was 20 of the pipes or puts. We caught quite a lot of shrimps and a few salmon as well up there on that. But today that would be completely out of the question as regards the fishing them, because they would block up with all this plastic rubbish and the plastic cups and one thing and another. It would be impossible to fish them on our site anyway now. So we haven't fished them since about 1985, I think, was the last of the kipes we fished.
So much plastic in the river now, that was your major catch.
Oh, unbelievable.
As the tide drops, the hedging is slowly exposed, and they continue to direct the fish towards the putchers. The ebbing tide, together with the 275 metres of hedging, enclose a natural pool. This gives the fishermen an opportunity to pursue another traditional method of salmon fishing, using lave nets. In skilled hands, few salmon escape the nets, but they have to be chased.
It's put a good growth on.
Terrific. Can't believe it on those old trees like that.
And trouble is, that's the direction you want to look. You know, that's the way you've got to face to fish this ripple. Darryl look as though he's towing him with a rope, with a cord on there.
There he is. He's just popped up again there in that ripple. He just showed up just in front of that ripple. We got him.
He's a bright fish.
Nice new one.
Very bright.
Whether that was the same one or not, I don't know.
I think it was.
The River Severn is one of the longest rivers in the British Isles, but its drop of 14 metres, or about 45 feet, between high and low tides make its tidal range one of the highest in the world. "17 tributaries and countless small creeks feed into the River Severn, and 2 suspension bridges span the river near Bristol. The exposed mudflats and fierce tides make Derek and Don's work quite dangerous, and they need all their skill and knowledge of the river to prevent accidents. In winter, large flocks of waders, especially dunlin, sandling, knot and redshank, feed on numerous mud-living invertebrates. Throughout the year, the mudflats provide food for many ducks and scavenging black-backed and herring gulls. Some dunlin probe for food in shallow pools, whereas others roost in groups and shelter on the shoreline. White-fronted and Brent geese overwinter on the Severn, making it internationally famous for birds, but the fish-stealing cormorant is not that popular with salmon fishermen. Further up the river, Derek and Don are keeping busy.
You see him? Hey, up by you! Go on!
Bugger's right beside me.
Bugger come out, didn't he? He's out, I reckon.
He was going up, wasn't he?
He's gone out.
He didn't show he got right on that corner, see?
You were just a little bit late. The net was just...
Well, I was right on top.
You couldn't get the net round quick enough.
He was showed on top of me, like.
Here he is. Right, I got it. Good fish too.
They're all good fish.
They are when they're in the net.
When the tide reaches its lowest point, the putchers are fully exposed and can be inspected for fish. Derek and Don only have about 30 minutes between tides to examine all the baskets.
These putchers aren't so dirty today, are they?
I seen him show on that far point on the rock there.
You thought you did?
Yep.
Well, I wondered whether there was one there or not.
I'll wander on down and go across
Yeah, you
these
go down
putchers
and
now.
inspect, see what we got in that lot.
The fishermen now run 60 putchers, but when they were younger, they inspected an incredible 300 baskets between tides. Each was cleaned of seaweed, river flotsam, and repaired as necessary before the tide returned. The narrow neck of each conical putcher prevented any trapped fish from swimming backwards and escaping. For over 30 years, this traditional trapping method has kept them well stocked in fish.
So far.
No. No, I think we've had all we're going to see today.
Yeah, I think we got a stake here a bit loose.
Oh, have we?
Might have to do a bit of repairs.
Running repairs on that, yeah. I'll go back up this way and collect up the fish. Not a bad little fish anyway.
No.
Time of year, I
Fish to
suppose.
take back home with us.
Three. That's it. Well, if you take the net, I'll
Yep.
do the bagging up.
There with them. Well, there's
Pop
number
them in.
one.
There's number one, yeah, good fish, yeah.
Number two.
Get them in there. Two. There we go. It's nipping in a bit now.
Oh, yeah.
At the lowest of tides, there's always water in the pool, which is formed in the front of the putchers. And the fish can hide away, and you see them early and you don't see them again many times. You don't know where to find them.
We can take the fish that goes down to the pool from 6 o'clock Monday morning till 12 o'clock Saturday dinner time. For those that we see Saturday afternoon and Sunday, just got to
They got to go on swimming.
They just swim on and torment us.
On August the 15th, the salmon season officially ends, and the putchers have to be removed from the river by law. After a season in the water, the putchers triple their weight, and carrying 4 is the most a single man can handle. From the putchers to the high tide mark is over 400 metres, and a trolley makes the job a little easier. In fine dry weather, the task is arduous enough, but on cold rainy days, removing the putchers takes real dedication. To remove 60 waterlogged putchers is a race against the tide. It's hard work, and they take a lot of handling, often requiring the help of family and friends to complete this back-breaking task.
The biggest fish we ever caught down there was £37.5. And, well, Don can tell the tale. He was the man that caught it.
Well, it was on a low tide on a Sunday morning, a net tide, and it was just about tops of thigh boots. And as I was walking out to the fishery, I could see the water flying up, and I thought, well, there's a biggish fish in there. And I went to water what was going up. So I walked on out, and by the time I got to the butchers, I could tell the tide was already on the turn. So all I could do was to pick up the butcher, cut it out of the rank, and bring the butcher and the fish back in, get it back because it was still alive, spraying water all back. So by the time I got to the shore, I was soaking wet through, and one or two of the locals, they was a bit concerned to think I was still out there, and I had quite a crowd on the bank waiting for me to come back. And by the time I got home, the wife had heard that I'd had this fish before I ever got back there, so that'll tell you how quick the local news travelled.
Once the last putcher is loaded on the trolley, Derek, Don, their families and friends can enjoy some well-earned relaxation.
When we get the butchers out, we have a little event, really, to sort of celebrate the end of the season and get a few friends and a few helpers along and sort of have a little barbecue and a few drinks, and that's it, you know. It's sort of something to sort of celebrate and tradition, I suppose you would call it.
You're looking a bit damp.
Oh yes, I'm very wet actually, not with the salt water falling in or anything like that. Today, of course, is the day when the butchers have got to come out, and it's non-stop. Once the tide drops low enough, you can't afford to waste a minute before it's likely, you know, you must keep going all the time, and under this weather, it's very warm. When you've had those waders on, those breast waders on, I should say, for 3 hours, you certainly sweat.
How's this job going then?
Not bad at all.
The beginning of the season wasn't so good. We didn't see a fish for the first 3 weeks actually, but after that they came along. Nice quality fish too, you know, they were very nice quality. But the biggest one we've had this season was 17 pounds. Yeah, nice fish.
Not the one you're eating now?
Not the one we're eating now, no. This was a little 7-pounder we got here. So anyways, it's good. Very nice.
What is that sausage?
You have smoky down there.
And it's hard work running up and down and through especially with the hard run of water when you get in there early on the tide. You know, it's quite hard work, and especially so it's not so bad, we'll say then, for people that are used to it. But we've had one or two come along today and who are not used to it. One fellow's never been out before, out in the river, and he's really found it very hard going. But I thought he was a fit chap, but perhaps I'm as fit as what he is. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, well, I'll wander off and have a drink.
Thanks. Eat, drink and be merry.
My son isn't very interested he's not interested in this type of fishery, really. He likes fishing with a rod and line, but it's the end of the line when we pack up.
That's really.
And we're not young, of course. I'm 70 and Don's getting up that way.
I'm trying to catch him up.
He's trying to catch me up. So we'll have to call it a day then, and I'm afraid it'll be the end of the line completely as regards this type of fishing.